Okay, now it works. All right, hey guys, this is like another stream of like the whole series of conversations I had, like first with AppEsteem and AnyTech365 about the pop-ups that I initially found on the internet, which led me to AnyTech365 and their services, as well as Outbyte, PC Repair, and like the fake antivirus software that they are selling. Yeah, and then I continued with the conversation with CleanApps, with AppEsteem, and they introduced me to CleanApps. And now today I'm talking to both the CEO and the founder, if I'm correct, right, from CleanApps, and they'll tell me about their organization and who they are representing, and we'll talk more about also one of their companies that they are representing, namely TechLiveConnect. So can you give me like an introduction about your organization and what it exactly is?
Sure. So my name is Bogdan Odulinski. I'm on the board of CleanApps. Just to kind of make things clear. And Lou, who's going to be fielding most of the questions, I think, after I'm done, is the executive director, and he's got his sort of full-time job of managing the organization and driving the organization. And so I just thought I would start, since I was one of the original 3 board members that was involved in the formation of cleanapps.org. So just to kind of provide some background, we'll start by saying that we're a nonprofit business association of app makers. And we all got together and realized that we needed a business association because we found ourselves at the same events talking about the same things. And these events weren't necessarily focused on us as app makers. They were focused on all kinds of different topics related to basically creating and promoting applications, right? And so, they tend to be driven by, ad platforms, marketing-oriented organizations, and there's a lot of different venues for that. But as app makers, we found ourselves not really having a great place to keep track of the changing world of the internet as it pertains to the rules and regulations and policies and best practices, not only to get an app into the marketplace, but also to keep the app in the marketplace. In other words, to be able to stay in business. So for instance, we, all of a sudden one day, a new ad policy is published by one of the ad platforms, be it, pick Google or Bing, it doesn't matter. And that policy is very specific to promoting apps. Well, unless you happen to be tracking the right blogs or the right entries, you may never know about it until your campaign is shut down because you're accidentally violating a policy that you weren't aware of had come into play. And that really is distracting to the business. And ideally, we'd have some kind of heads up. So realizing that there was no one place to get all of this information, and it could relate to ad platforms, it could relate to how the antivirus community views certain kinds of promotions or certain kinds of app behaviors in a negative light, right? Where they could decide, well, we think this is deceptive, so we should flag this application as being sort of unwanted or potentially unwanted. So we just decided let's try to we're all doing the same thing, right? We're all going to the same events and we're all discussing the same things. Let's formalize this and create an organization whose job is going to be to basically disseminate, promote all of these new policies that are coming out, and really more importantly, provide best practices in that forum for this community of app makers to share these best practices that address the changes to their business. And that's very focused on people who are app makers who are already in market. And of course, one of our bigger goals is to essentially provide guidance to emerging app makers who really don't know what they don't know about promoting an app, right, and getting an app in market. So we're hoping to kind of just start targeting let's call it the startup community, and really provide sort of change before they get into any bad habits or habits that are not good. That'll prevent them from either getting accepted into an app marketplace, or later on, maybe they get accepted because they fall under the radar, but eventually they get found to be unacceptable. So all of a sudden, they've been making all this money for a while, and all of a sudden it's cut out. And for them, right, from their perspective, because they're not tracking these things, it's not. It takes a certain level of maturity for an organization to get to the point where, hey, we need a compliance guy that keeps track of this stuff, right? Mm-hmm. So that's the role we play. We basically play the role. The goal, at least of the organization, was to provide a single place that shares emerging and existing rules and regulations to allow you to get into market and stay in market and stay in business. Mm-hmm. So we have about 30 to 40 member companies. We provide that information in the form of blog posts, newsletters, and webinars, as well as we've had 2 annual in-person events so far, and our goal is to have 2 of those per year. Of course, with coronavirus, who knows what's going to happen in terms of in-person events. So I think that's really at least the nexus of what we're about. I could get into a long story about the other motivations, but I can simply state this: we all realize that we're always chasing the changes, or the changes are are catching up to us. We'd rather be ahead of the changes and make the changes we need in our business practices, or promotional practice, or even in our app behaviors before they have a negative impact on our business. Right? It's better to be ahead of the game than to have a disruptive event that impacts revenue. I don't know. Did they cover it, Lou, or did I miss something?
Yeah, I thought that was very good. Very well said.
Oh, nice.
The one thing I'd like to just add to just that introduction is that, and basically I'm the executive director of the nonprofit, which is, as you suggested, is sort of the CEO of a nonprofit is called an executive director. So
I do want to add one last thing. I think it's important in our formation. So we got together, right? So the founding board members were all app makers, and we kind of set up these bylaws, right? So who's allowed to be a member? Who's this organization for? Remember, I said it's for app makers, and it's a member-driven organization. All decisions are made that affect the organization are made by app makers. They're not made by app platforms. We don't take we don't take influence from anybody than the app making community. So I encourage you to look at our bylaws, but we're all about the app making community. And so one of the key things we wanted to have is some good guidance to drive the organization. So we created this advisory board where we invited AppEsteem to help advise us in terms of our organization and even provide us help in how to organize the content, that very varied content and never-ending content that relates to policies and compliance. They are experts in that, certainly in the area of antivirus related policies that affect app makers. And we were lucky to get somebody from Microsoft to be on our advisory board as well. And we also were lucky to get somebody that represents the consumers at large as well. So that's another part of our advisory board.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So my point being basically that we are a nonprofit, and our membership and the people that are involved with us are basically supporting us. We're not an advocate. We're not advocating for any of those people. They are supporting our mission of educating the marketplace, and that's really what it's about. Is we're trying to get it at the base before it starts, as Bogdan pointed out. Before they're out into the market, we'd love to have them completely compliant with all things. And I think similar to what you guys are trying to do, the ultimate goal is to have a clean internet. And from 5 years ago to today, and 2 years ago from when CleanApps first started, 5 years ago, it was definitely the Wild West out here. And I think you see from CSA coming on board and AppEsteem coming on board and CleanApps, those things are changing, and it's much different today than it was 5 years ago. I mean, there is so much going on in this area, the areas of non-compliance, of deceptive practices, and that kind of stuff. It's like night and day compared to when we began. But nevertheless, my point being that our membership is based on companies that see that our goals are good goals, and I think they align with what your goals are.
And speaking of goals, right? I think that what's interesting about the goals of the app makers are very well aware of those app makers that are cheating in one way, shape, or form to get their apps promoted, distributed, or whatever. And so, I don't want to use the word cheating. That's probably the wrong word. They're just basically taking shortcuts. And what we're promoting is the concept of standardized policies, rules, best practices that created a fair marketplace for everybody. I think a lot of the members, I can't speak for all of them, but certainly a lot of the members do believe that a fair marketplace is all we ever want, right? A lot of us compete with each other. We just want to compete on an even playing field. So we believe that the standardization of these policies and rules to getting apps in market and keep in market is a good thing for everybody, not just consumers, but the app makers and their businesses as well.
Right, and the consumer part being an important part. Obviously, that's who the deceptive practices hit. So our activities are definitely in the end goal of protecting the consumer.
Well, there's my first question. Like you said, like you provide guidelines basically for the app creators in order to be compliant with the regulations. But isn't that exactly what AppEsteem is doing? They have their ACRs listed where you can, check yourself if you're compliant with the laws or not.
So let's be very, very clear. We don't provide guidelines. We share the guidelines that are already made public. Think of us as a content aggregator for all the guidelines that you may or may not know about exist and change.
Right.
We do not enforce. We do not invent guidelines.
Mm-hmm.
That would require a lot of funding, which we do not have.
Yeah, and we're tied in as you're asked about that with AppEsteem, in that we are tied into their conversations with the AVs so that we get the data as soon as we can, and we again disseminate it to our membership and more. This is actually something free to anyone who wants our newsletter. We disseminate it through our newsletter and through webinars and through our in-person events.
We probably have the softest approach to getting people to do things, the way they need to do them.
Okay, so it's like
You
have no policing action, right?
Right, compared to, let's say, an antivirus, or even somebody like, a team like you guys, right, where basically you apply a much more heavy-handed approach, right, to display or show that something's wrong. We're just here to tell you, here's what you need to do to avoid being called out by a regulator, right, of some kind.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so you're providing the guidelines in the sense of like distributing them, like the existing ones to the companies, so that.
Why are you blocking us? It could take weeks to get an answer to that question.
I've actually written an entire blog post on this subject. The general, and this is just my personal experience. The general approach or attitude from an antivirus vendor, I'll be generous and say, first of all, it's not like they have a massive team of people addressing requests about why is my app being flagged as potentially unwanted. It's not a big team. So response rates, right? Whether or not they respond, the response rates are low in terms of timeliness, and they generally, because it's an antivirus company, they're used to dealing with viruses and really, really bad people. When it comes to an app that may have, encroached a policy they were unaware of, they're going to be treated the same way as the maker of a virus, generally speaking.
Test, hello?
Hello?
Okay. Is it working now? Now it's like the connection was dropped for 1 second by my side.
Everything's working on my end here.
Okay,
I'm okay too.
Okay, I'll get that from the distributing and contacting the different AV vendors. But you said also fair marketplace. I'm not sure, like you also said like fair from the consumers, but like some of the companies that you're representing or that are board members of yours, they are not exactly fair to the consumers, and they have clearly a history, like a bad history, that is totally linked to illegal activity, which not even has been prosecuted. There's no action against, like one of the members would be Saburi TechLiveConnect, and there's no action against TechLiveConnect, even though they are clearly scamming people, at least in the past. And like the whole scamming community, as well as the consumer, would find that totally unethical to work with such a company and to promote them as a clean app, because that's your brand name, and TechLiveConnect is definitely not a clean app.
So, okay, so let's just start by saying that TechLiveConnect does not have an app. They're not an app maker. They're a supporter of the organization, correct?
Sorry to interrupt you, but they do have an app. Let me check. What was it? It was PC Shield. PC Shield.
News to me.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, I don't think so.
I have the link. PCShieldAV.com. I can send it into the chat here. Where is it?
I'll look at it here.
So, Louis, why don't you feel that we talked about this?
Well, I don't know. I don't know about.
Just the question, the original question.
Yeah.
There.
Well, the whole subject again is back to these people are supporting us. We're not promoting and advocating anybody that's on our charter membership list or corporate membership list. And to be a charter member or corporate member, which is a higher donation levels, they have to be certified by AppEsteem. We want to make sure they are following the app. We're basing what they should be doing and shouldn't be doing. That AppEsteem is aware of all those things and checking these guys out. TLC specifically, I know that they are certified by AppEsteem. That AppEsteem has been out to India and gone to their call centers and checked them out individually. There's a lot of BS out there that comes out in the news.
Well, I think the important part to focus on I think the question behind the question here is this: the companies that support us financially are supporting our organization and its mission and goal. In no way does their support translate into some kind of an endorsement of their company. They're doing right. If you look at all of our terms and conditions, you look at our logo guidelines, etc. There's absolutely no endorsement implicated here, right? In any way, shape, or form. That's a very key thing, right? Now, that I want to make very, very clear. It seems like your question is how could we be associated with, first of all, what you believe to be a bad player? We are associated with organizations that believe in our mission, and they can show that belief by simply joining and listening to our newsletters and webinars. They can do that by providing human capital resources, or they can provide that support financially as well. And that's how a nonprofit works.
I have a question.
I hope that answers your question. I have a feeling you're going to have more on this.
No, yeah. I've got more, but I've got a question for you, Neep. Have you ever? The reason I'm asking you this is because I just joined CleanApps last November, so I'm relatively new to CleanApps. Mm-hmm. I've known the people, I guess they're owners or at least primary investors in it or whatever of TLC for 15 years, so I've known them a long time.
Yeah, I've known them.
And I'm just curious, have you guys ever had a direct discussion with those guys? Have you?
No, never. We never had a direct discussion with TechLiveConnect in the sense of like, do you mean with the CEOs or something, with the executive board or something, or do you mean with the agents, like the tech support agents?
No, I meant like with the people that are running it. If there's some, because I just want to just throw out the fact that when you have, because I've been involved as a business development and software and been involved with call centers, and I've run into bad call centers and good call centers. I've had very good call centers. I can't remember the name of them all now in years past, where we would have some big problem, and I'd go out to Delhi and we'd find out it was one or two, renegade reps that were doing some crappy things. So when you have 400 people, that's going to happen. And I'm not sitting here again. I don't want to be judge and jury. And I would just.
Well, that's not our role. Our organization's role is not to be judge and jury.
Right.
Let that be the job of others, right?
Yes, that I understand that, but I would agree that, and I think that happening would result in someone not being a member anymore. Because, for example, if TLC is as bad as you apparently think they are, and to look at them, I don't see how they could possibly be certified by AppEsteem, which is a completely ethical organization, and looked into them deeply. So, but if we had someone that I mean, you can correct me if I'm wrong, Bogdan, but if we had a company that was doing some super blatant unethical practices, and we brought it to their attention, and they wouldn't change them because.
Well, hold on a minute. So let's just be clear, right? That's our role. Is we'll bring these things up to them. And it's up to them to take action. We don't run their company, right? And so, of course, we would pass on any information that they should know, right? Because if they're supporters, clearly they believe in what we do, and they probably don't want to have anything bad happen within their company. So they would want to know. And if you look at Giannis is. I looked at that video, and what I heard over and over again is if you find something, tell me, I'll fix it. And that's part of what we do is we pass this stuff along when it's called out by, let's say, other members, right, or something else, and we just say, hey, just so you know, this is what's going on, and here's the kind of policies that as wherever this example came from, these are the policies that you might want to go review. And have some better maybe QA or whatever it is that needs to be done to kind of fix the thing.
Mm.
And I know specifically with the TLC guys that when they have found things that we were aware of or we were made aware of, that they then and they had specific reps that were doing these things. They'd replace the reps, they'd fire the reps, they'd correct the reps if it was a small mistake. And again, this whole thing on the app thing, I'm sure they don't even have an app.
I just sent it.
Here's the thing, right? So I just want to kind of just rant off this way. If you know that there's bad stuff that they're doing, we're happy to pass it along.
Yeah, sure. Like there's lots of points that I can address here. Like I've already sent you the link to the software in the chat.
Yeah.
I just switched to my browser in the stream.
Well, so you sent me a link to a software, but I don't know what's bad about it. It looks fine to me just from the website. So I don't know what the point of that is.
Yeah, the point is that if you download the app and then run it through VirusTotal, which I did, Kaspersky and many others detected as a Trojan malware, and lots of others as POP. So definitely something is
So Neep, I can create an executable and compile it on my desktop. No one's ever seen it. Pass it on to VirusTotal, it'll be flagged by 8 different AVs.
Yeah,
I'm not sure. So VirusTotal to me is an interesting litmus test, but it's certainly not evidence of anything.
Well, for me, yes, because lots of the AVs have their reasons for checking, and that's exactly the point of your company.
Well, you need to understand how VirusTotal works. I'm sorry.
Well, then explain to me,
What's the name of this app? What's the name of this app? Sorry.
PCShieldAV.com.
It's in the chat.
It's in the chat.
Oh, right.
Saburi,
Okay.
yeah, Saburi Global. Like a Saburi
Again,
Global.
we're not the enforcers, and
I know.
I'm sure that whoever it is, a TLC or the originator of this app is well aware of this and is trying to fix it.
No.
By the way, I do highly recommend. I don't know if they'd be willing to do it. I'd be glad to talk to them and find out. But I think you should have a direct conversation if you're interested, and they would be interested of addressing specific things, because I think there's a lot of false information that's been bandied about, and that might be a thing you could do, which I think that would be, your first action when you get some information like that.
Well, like you have to be clear on one point. Like on one side you're saying they don't have an app, and now I'm showing you it's an app. Then you saw.
Well, that's great. So it's interesting information, and we're going to pass it along to the relevant people.
Yeah, I'm going to ask right away whether there's an app, because my understanding was that app is something else that was feeding into them and alterized. It was altered. Anyway, again, I'd rather not talk about their side, because I think they know the answers better than we would.
Well, we have no idea.
Well, yeah, but you're claiming that like we have to be clear on one point, that they are scammers. That's a fact. And first of all, I want to make that clear. And I have like.
Well, so Neeb, I appreciate your assertion, and I'm sure that TLC is aware that you believe that. We have to rely on authorities such as AppEsteem to guide us along. So it's interesting. My question to you is, have you passed this along to AppEsteem?
Yes, I do have passed it along.
Okay.
If you may have watched the last live stream, I was talking to Dennis, who's also in the chat right now. And we did show them, and like their answer was that yes, they had a past, which is like a dark past, like he phrased it like that. And that they were doing the scam. Oh yeah, here's Dennis answering. We're happy to verify any app to see if it's a deceptor before, ACRs. Yeah, I can also check that with the ACRs. I didn't check with the ACRs. It's just something that the app was something that I found funny, that it got detected by so many AVs right away. But anyway, like TechLiveConnect is a confirmed scam, and I have also prepared, like there's lots of evidence, like we have baited them over and over again in the past, and they have shown us the stopped services. They have shown us like they have like this fake pop-ups on the internet. It's not something like you made it look like it's something that individual employees did wrong, but clearly that's the whole business model of the company, to ship, to send out fake pop-ups on the internet and then cash in on old people who don't know any better and then call the number. So clearly that's exactly the deceptive business model of them. That's not an individual fault.
I have a little comment just on that specific, and again, I don't have the details of it. I think it'd be better if you talk directly, obviously. But when I've asked about the I asked those questions because I saw that came up, and they don't do pop-ups. When they find an affiliate or someone they're working with that's doing pop-ups that are deceptive or otherwise, not right.
Okay.
They stop them right away and get rid of them.
Yeah.
Already.
Yeah, that's one of the things that AppEsteem does, right? It has some guidelines around affiliates, right? So the onus is definitely on the app vendor, right? The app vendor is responsible for the affiliates that promote their software. And insofar as the problem that a lot of app vendors have, and this is not unique to app vendors, I think it's broad to any product on the internet. There's a very large ecosystem of affiliate marketers that basically promise to send you customers, right? And all they want is a commission. And it's very easy for a less mature business or one who hasn't thought things through to basically, yeah, great, I want customers. Here, I'll give you a commission, you can send me customers. And they don't necessarily provide guidelines or police the affiliate to make sure that the affiliate isn't doing things that would negatively impact the company brand in their acquisition strategies. So that is part of what some of the stuff that we shared. I know that we've had at least one webinar, probably two, on this very subject. I'm pretty sure somebody's written a blog article about affiliates and ultimately the responsibility falling upon app vendors. So again, that's what we're about, is sharing all of this information. Now it is up to each individual app vendor, TLC included, to figure out how to go and apply these rules or requirements.
Yeah, our purpose is to educate the market. Yeah. And by the way, one of our focuses, Neat, that we want to focus more on is the startups, the guys that are just creating the apps, so that when they come to market, they're already compliant and they understand that you don't do deceptive practices.
Or if they get approached by a marketing.
You don't use scare tactics, et cetera, whatever, all those things.
Yeah. Because it's really sexy, when you have some guy that says, "Listen, I can send you 500 customers a day. You just got to pay me a percentage of the sale." And you're like, "Wow, that sounds good. I don't know how to do that myself, right?" And so imagine a startup that young guy doesn't know, hasn't thought this stuff through, and he goes, "Yeah, I'll sign that deal every day, all day long." And then all of a sudden, he's finding out that there's weird. That the way that they're acquiring the customer is through some illicit pop-up that they can never find or see on their own, right? But that's the tactic being used. So again, that's what we're here to do, is to educate on best practices to help run the business to avoid being called a bad guy.
Well,
among other things, right?
Well, but you have like a major misconception over here. Like they are using these pop-ups themselves, like PTS, Premium Techie Support, or TechLiveConnect, how to say, like that's the same brand, the same company. They do the pop-ups themselves, or basically if they pay someone, then they know about it. It's not like the call center business works like that they are paying people to make the phone calls with the pop-ups, and everyone knows about that. It's not like the affiliate business where you just outsource like affiliates and you may not know about it, but especially in a tech support business where you connect to a client's computer and they have like this pop-up open, they know exactly where it's from because they themselves ordered it. And that's how the business model works. They ordered the pop-ups, otherwise like they wouldn't get any customer. That's like how their business model works. They don't have any direct sale or something. They're just creating these pop-ups. And to implicate that they don't know about this and it's just like a bad affiliates. That may be true with the app vendors, right? But definitely not with the call centers. And it doesn't stop there. It doesn't stop there. It doesn't stop there.
So. I think a lot of their traffic is with companies that have signed up with them to do their support.
No, that's actually
at the end of the day, Lou, you and I don't know anything about what they do or don't do, and that's not our focus. It doesn't matter, right? Our focus is to keep disseminating the standards that companies need to follow. If they choose not to follow them or they can't follow them, that's outside of what CleanApps is about. Honestly, I would love to do more. If you guys want to fund us, and then we could go ahead and take the mantle. Assuming that our board and our members agree to going down that path. But I want you to keep in mind, Anit, is you're stating assertions that we can't verify. We're just gonna. It's your assertion. It's your broadcast, and we're not here to defend anybody. We're here to talk about what CleanApps is doing.
Right. But we have we have to find like a common ground that we can move on further, because one vital part is that among your associated companies or among your board members are deceptors, and that's like the common ground. I want you to understand the point, and from there I can go to the next question which I have. But first of all, I want to make this very much clear that they are indeed a scam. There's so much evidence. They have, you can't see my screen right now, but I think like I've sent you the YouTube video in the chat, and at 5 minutes 55, you can see their fake pop-up that they are employing, and at 10 minutes something, you can see the agents clearly showing like the stopped services. And that's not like a one-time incident, like from one bad customer. That's something like back in the days, you could get them like, you know, every day you could call them and they would do the same thing and claim that your computer is infected with a Zeus virus. So it's like the typical scam and the typical tech support scam. Just we both know that Indian law enforcement, like, because you said like we have to rely on, you're not there to enforce the rules or something. Yeah, you are not there to enforce the rules, but who is actually doing that? That's nobody doing that. The Indian police is bribed. I've experienced that by myself when I was in India. The Indian police almost arrested me on a false report by a call center that has like lots of money. And we know that there's no action to be taken against these call centers, or just very rarely if Jim Browning with like 1 million subscribers on YouTube, if he makes a video and points out one company is a scammer, then sure, that creates enough attention on the media and enough pressure for the police to act on this. But regularly they won't do anything about it. So if you're just pointing to someone else to take the action, that's actually not actually like a very ethical thing to do, because you're just, you know, pointing the responsibility to someone else and just denying your own responsibility to keep the app space clean.
Well, it's not what
Neep, I'm sorry, but responsibility takes money, and you're clearly making money on this with the show, and as are your partners. Our only source of funding is basically our membership, and so for you to say that we have to do something, we are doing something. We are disseminating what they need to be doing and how to do it right. That is our contribution, given the resources that we have.
Yeah, we don't have.
You have other resources, and you should use your resources in the way that you deem fit as well.
Yeah, we don't have the resources to fly out there and verify. What I would do is I would want to do it and see what was going on. We don't do that. It's not what we do, but we don't have the resources to do that if we did.
I think it's a little unfair to be saying that we're not doing anything when clearly, with the very little money that we have been doing something. We have the attention of the Microsofts, the Googles, the antivirus companies of the world, and are making a difference every day.
Well, clearly you're not, because like part of your members or board members are deceptive companies that have like a huge list, like history of scam. And even it's funny that you're arguing with me about that, because even Dennis Batchelder from AppEsteem was not arguing about that. He also said
but
that.
I'm not arguing about that. I'm arguing that we are making a difference. I'm not arguing about your assertions. Your assertions are your assertions. That's not the role of CleanApps.
Right, but
Right.
still they are part of your thing.
Okay.
And
So if I was to create a membership, an organization composed of companies that never did anything wrong, I would have a very empty membership. I don't understand what your point is. Everyone at some point, right, finds themselves, having a gap of some kind, right, consciously or unconsciously, QA, whatever, right? So the goal again is to make sure that they know that they avoid these gaps. That is what we do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
We
but
try to prevent it, right?
There is no such thing as an app vendor that hasn't done bad stuff.
At some
We're
point.
crying out loud.
yeah, why is that?
Microsoft is has been accused of doing many bad things. So is Google.
But their business,
right?
well, their business model is not relying on that. But clearly, PTS and TLC, their business model is right around the scam. It's like focused on it. It's not like a side business.
Look, here's the thing. You've made your point, right? You believe that PTS or whatever it is, TLC, whatever it is, are bad people. We're not here to argue that.
Right. And if you're not here to argue that, and if you agree that you have bad actors among your board members, and your company or like your organization name is CleanApps, I think even I didn't understand in the first place that you're just a news aggregator for the companies to get their news from a trusted source where they can like follow the guidelines from AVs and different. So if like someone like me or any other consumer comes across your website, sees these board members, and then he gets like you said before, you're not endorsing these companies, but exactly that is the thing. Like, at least to me and to many other people, like that are watching your website. It looks like that you're endorsing these companies, and basically if you're saying that you're fighting for a clean app space and everything, that sounds like a joke to me, because like it's exactly the contrary of that, in the terms of like your members that are part of your team. And like that's the thing, like how can you how's your name CleanApps when you have like these board members on they are not just simply members of yours, but they also board members. I guess like they have something to say in the organization. So like how can you allow these kind of bad actors to be part of your company or organization and be like steering your organization in some way? How is that possible?
Lou, you want to start?
Well, I don't know what we're talking about.
I don't know what we're talking about.
What's the specific you're talking about, the board?
Well, it doesn't matter what the specific is, honestly. It doesn't matter what the specific is.
I would not. I mean, I would want to know the specific details.
No, what we are an organization of app makers whose sole mission it is to basically disseminate information. We are doing that. It improves the businesses of every app maker that follows those rules to the extent that they follow them, right? So now, if there are varying levels of following the rules, and that relates to business maturity, ability to execute, and so on. So that has to do with their businesses, and if they are imperfect, then what I think is interesting is that they have joined CleanApps with the intent of getting better, and that would be on a continuous and everyday basis. I can attest to that directly.
Now, that would be my point. That would be my point. And as Bogdan said, you have a fixed picture of what you understand as TLC's thing. With my experiences, and we work with them, they're on, like you said, they're a member, is that they have not only a willingness, but they are actually doing things when they find things wrong. And so I know you don't agree with that, but I'm telling you from my own experience. And I find it, I don't understand at all if you had somebody tell you or show you whatever is going wrong, that you would be directly in touch with them.
Neep, here's the thing. Maybe you have a particular perspective based on where you're coming from. We have a different perspective because we deal with these people regularly. And our experience is that when we call something out to them, they don't seem to go figure it out. But the thing is again, we're not enforcers. We just this is us talking as fellow members. Hey, I noticed you have this. Did you know that doesn't comply with that? And usually they don't ignore that particular exchange from our experience.
Oh, in my experience,
again, we're not the enforcers. AppEsteem is, right? And so is the antivirus community. And so are the platforms. The Microsoft and Googles have their own policies that they enforce every day. So again, we provide the info to those organizations, and those organizations appreciate the value we provide, and that's why they are members, and that is why we exist.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's clearly not the point. I mean, that's clearly not true, because I'm also part of the website scareware.info, which is a website where you can share scammer numbers and basically blacklist scam companies, and we share scam pop-ups and everything. And our website is pretty good in SEO. So like every number that you're searching in Google, most likely scareware.info will be one of the top results in the Google search. And clearly TechLiveConnect or Premium Techie Support, they came across our website in the past previously as well. That's 100% sure, because they have so many numbers, and there's like such a bad reputation about like TechLiveConnect in the past. And there's even an article in the Hindustan Times, which is like a reputable newspaper in India, which I'm just sharing on my live screen, on my screen, where it says "Scare and Sell. Here's how an Indian call center cheated foreign computer owners," and it's by Snigdha Poonam, which also does a lot of other call center related stuff. And it clearly has the evidence and insider of the company where it says like it's totally normal for them to do the scam. So it's not something that, again, like what you said previously, that individuals are doing. That's the whole business model. And clearly they know about this. Like I mean, how can you not, as a company, not manage to notice an article about yourself and like lots of bad results on the Google if you're searching for your own phone numbers? So it's clearly that they didn't reach out to us, or I mean, obviously it wouldn't make sense for us to reach out to them, because usually tech support scammers from India, they wouldn't react on any contact based from our side.
So what you're saying is you never try to reach out to them to talk to them.
Well, obviously, like, why would we talk? Why would we talk to them?
Well, so here's the thing. I find that in order to resolve something, you have a dialogue. If you don't have a dialogue, and it's really just you kind of screaming at the internet, that doesn't really drive a change in behavior. The change in behavior is through dialogue.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll take you
up
on that invitation.
That's just my experience. Now, I mean, you've got yours, and it works for you for what your goals are. Our goals are really kind of, I know they're idealistic, right? Is that if we share the info, people will go and use it appropriately. That's really what a lot of nonprofits are based on, is sort of an ideal. We hope for the best.
Well, I'll take you up on that kind of invitation, if I understood that correctly. If you have contacts with the TLC executives, then I gladly want to talk to them and question them about their past and about like the allegations against them, because that would be definitely interesting to confront them and to get to know like what they have to say about the allegations, if you can call it like that. And yeah, that'd
be great. I think so. I'll find out what we could do, if there's any interest, if they're willing to do that.
What we'll do is we'll provide the introduction and let them run with it, right?
Absolutely. And I think that's the correct direction. I think that's the kind of thing of why.
I mean, it sounds like you have an issue talking to other call centers, right? What they call Anytech was very willing to talk with you,
right?
Yeah. I can't see, so again, it's all, it's up to the business and for them to decide what they do.
And
happy to help establish dialogue to drive change.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I'll do that.
That is the role that we want to play, right? Exactly. Establish dialogue, because we believe that dialogue drives real change. Whereas, just flagging somebody or calling them out drives evasion. Right, whereas dialogue drives constructive change.
So I think that's the right direction for sure. We'll do that. I'll do that, Neep. I'll see what I can do on that.
That sounds great. And like, if you accept that, that company has been doing crimes in the past, do you think it's acceptable to have like scammers on your board and basically representing them? They even listed on your company's website, organization website. So how do you feel about endorsing, basically endorsing them on your website?
So I think I made that clear, right? We don't endorse anybody, and the past does not dictate the future. It's the same answer you got from AppEsteem.
Well, yeah, that's again showing away their responsibility, because just because they have been doing crimes in the past, that doesn't mean they are necessarily clean right now. And also that doesn't mean that they have been punished for that in the past. I mean, if I kill someone today and then tomorrow I'll be not killing anyone, that doesn't mean that I'm a nice person, right? Like, you have to be.
I'm gonna say that
that's getting pretty serious.
Your example is a little extreme.
Yeah, obviously it's extreme, but because obviously it's a bit extreme, but
right,
because you don't seem to understand that. Yeah. Okay. Go ahead.
Talk about extremes. You find out these things. You don't even talk to TLC. I'm just using them as the example.
No, they wouldn't reach out to us.
You don't even. Now, wait a minute. You didn't talk to them, and you try to close them down. And let's say you close them down. 400 people are out of work.
And
you're talking about killing people. I would rather see them change and go right and prosper at doing the right things than to close them down. And that's the direction that I think you would rather see that too in the end. I don't understand why, out of the gate, your idea is close them down versus try to make them move to the a positive side?
Well, I mean, there's like lots of stuff again. First of all, I have already done that. I have closed down a call center in Chandigarh in North India. They have had 500 employees, out of which almost all of them got fired due to an operation by Microsoft and also by me and other scam baiters in the community. And we have shut them down. We have infiltrated them. There's like a YouTube video about that on my channel, where I have like very detailedly, infiltrated them. I have like their data. I have had access to their computers and to their servers. I have like the employees list, the salary sheet, and everything. And so that's nothing new to me. And I don't have, to be honest, I don't have any feelings for the employees. Because why? Because they know exactly what the work they were doing. And you may not know it, but I was dating one of these scammers girls, and I was going to India, and I was meeting, I have even friends there from that call center. So I know what like life they were like in, and definitely I can say they are not poor people. If they can speak English and English fluently enough for call center stuff, then they are not the stupid people. They can go to any other job. Okay, they will be earning less than the scam call center, but that's obvious. Like in every scam or in any illegal job, you're earning more than you would normally do. Same as like a drug dealer or something, for example. So I don't have any remorse of getting someone on the streets who have been doing the crimes and who has accepting that he's stealing from the people. I've been talking to that scammer girl, and she wanted to have an iPhone, right? Like, you don't need an iPhone. That's not necessary, especially in India, where the prices are like 2 times as high as the normal one. And then compared with a salary of $300, $400 a month.
Hey, Neep, just want to call out that we've got 5 minutes. I've got a hard stop.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Yeah, me too.
Okay. Like, then I just focus on the different question. I also, like a very important one, I also got to hear that there are legal threats dealt out by your organization to other antivirus companies. Can you tell me more about that? Is it true? Is it not true? And why and who?
What? Wait. Repeat the question?
Yeah, so I have a reputable source in the AV industry.
Reputable.
Yeah, well, I can't share the name, obviously, but yeah, it's very reputable.
Yeah. But if it's totally untrue, it isn't very reputable.
Well, no, wait. I still haven't heard what the statement was.
Yeah, so I heard that there are legal threats coming from your organizations to antivirus companies, and in regards to probably being like whitelisting or blacklisting, software that you're representing, basically.
So cleanapps.org, like I said, nonprofit. We don't have any money. There's no way to make any kind of legal, kind of threats for that matter, or actions of any kind.
None. So this reliable, I want you to look at that.
I don't understand how that person who's very reliable could make that kind of statement.
Yeah, it's not even, we don't even know what the idea of it is, let alone that we're doing something like that. So we have very, as Bogdan said, we have very limited funds and resources. And what we're able to do is do webinars and get some extra and do those once a year in-person events. Very limited. We certainly don't have the time or the
we have some major antivirus companies that come to our events on a regular basis. So again, I'm surprised at that statement.
So you're saying
hilarious.
So you're saying that you have not been engaging in any legal, battle with someone?
Zero. Not even aware of it. Of somebody.
Never even thought about it.
Our organization, our major operating organization is Bogdan and me, right? So we would know.
And threatening to sue, like sending out cease and desist letters or something like that?
No,
absolutely not.
Zero. Not even. Again,
you're gonna have to question the how reliable your source is in the future.
Yeah, you have to question.
Well, definitely.
It's completely false.
Well, definitely that, and also like how is it possible that you can also be lying, right? Like that's also a possibility. Yeah. But that's just
lying. Come on.
So here's the thing about lawsuits, right? They tend to be public. It's very hard to keep a lawsuit quiet. I challenge you to find a lawsuit from CleanApps.org against anybody.
No,
Yeah.
you can send cease and
And if
desist
you-
letters. That's something that is private. If you're sending someone a cease and desist letter, that's not something
Yeah.
that goes immediately
Hey.
public.
It takes
do me a
legal
favor.
counsel to do that, and we are not currently engaged with any legal counsel.
Yeah. Go ahead. Hey, what you should do is have your reliable source get the letter we sent, and I'd love to see that, like the forgery that would be.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah. So anyway, sorry about that. I guess we're close to ending. I will see what I could do to see if we could have a direct dialogue with the
Look,
TLC.
Can I just end with like, in my opinion, this was an interesting discussion, and I would love to see if we can continue a dialogue. Maybe we don't have to keep doing these live streams, but it'd be great to figure out how your resources could somehow help the app making community, either directly or indirectly. Maybe you could find more deceptive apps out there, report them to AppEsteem. I don't know what the answer is. What
We
the
already
right
did that.
approach is.
I'm already doing
but we'd
that.
like to continue a dialogue.
That's great.
To see
Right.
how we can make a bigger difference together. Because we don't have any. We certainly understand the limitations of our approach, right? And I would say every one of us that's in this path to try to create a better world, that is through the internet. Maybe if we all got together and applied our strengths in a collaborative effort, we could achieve that goal faster, better. I'm sure AppEsteem has asked you, so maybe there's a way to kind of figure all this out.
Well put. I like that.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm doing already. I'm actively engaged with AppEsteem in regards to Outbite, because I have found like fake antivirus, behavior of this app, as well as other breaches of the ACRs that like the guidelines of AppEsteem. So I'm already directly in contact with both Outbite, Logix, and Dennis from AppEsteem, and we're trying to clean up the apps. But definitely that would be, it's very interesting because like that's something that originally would be AppEsteem's job and not mine. But here I am, and I have to clean up what AppEsteem didn't manage to clean up. So yeah, but still.
I'm glad to hear. But I'm glad to hear there's a collaboration.
But Nate, to be fair, they're cleaning up stuff that you're not cleaning up. Right, so it's a little unfair to just say I'm here like being the hero that can only be the only one that saves the world. The only way the world is saved is through collaboration. So yes, of course you will find gaps everywhere. You could argue that AppEsteem is doing the job that others, right, in the ecosystem should be doing already. So the goal is for all those who want to create a better ecosystem to work together and apply their respective resources and strengths in a more efficient manner than anyone could on their own. Well, that's my point.
The power of the group.
So you guys, like, I kind of view this like whole thing like you guys and like the enforcer. I view you guys in the bucket of enforcers, right? So you guys are sort of like the bad cops, right? To the and then we try to be the good cops.
So we're both cops.
Yeah.
We're both cops.
Yeah.
So good.
Only with the difference that we are enforcing stuff more rigorously than other organizations, if you can say that. At least, to my understanding here.
Yeah, for those that you find, right? And there's a lot more to find, right? So let's figure out how to work together.
Yeah, and about TechLiveConnect, their recent shutdown and arrest of the owners in India, will that change anything about your opinion about TechLiveConnect or the situation that they are being board members? If they are not even...
so first of all, they're not board members. They're simply supporters. They're not board members.
Corporate members.
Corporate supporters.
Our board is on, or if you look at the About Us link, you can see who's on our board, right? So let's make that very clear.
Corporate members.
Only app makers, and of course, you just told us they're an app maker, but I didn't even know that. You never told us. So
they're not.
They are a supporter.
Is an affiliate.
In fact, So the relationship between being on the board, you have to be voted onto the board by the members. And that has nothing to do with any kind of financial contribution, right? Supporters are simply, hey, we're we're trying to show that, hey, other companies are supporting us, and we're hoping that that promotion essentially encourages others to financially support us as well.
But you do agree that TechLiveConnect is supporting you financially. That's how your business model works.
They have contributed to us in the past, yes.
And if they weren't accredited by AppEsteem, and they would not be able to do that. So that's where we rely.
That's actually a good point. Yeah, that's a good point.
Well, again,
but if something's changed, like you mentioned, some recent thing, I think that's something we should find.
Guys, I'm 5 minutes over. I gotta run.
Okay. All right. Well, it's nice talking to you. Have a nice
Likewise.
day.
Appreciate the opportunity, Neep, and I hope we can keep the dialogue going.
And Neep, and have a good day and take care of your turnips.
All right. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Yep. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
What the fuck? Seriously? They refused to take any responsibility, and they were just shifting to AppEsteem, which obviously has flaws, as I showed in the last video. Like, fucking ridiculous. They weren't even agreeing on TechLiveConnect being a scam. Like, you can see, like, here's the article. They have been arrested for, running a call center in a hotel during lockdown. There they have been caught using scam practices, and even the Hindustan Times tried to reach out to them, if I remember correctly. It was like totally a scam. Alright. Yeah, they disputed. Alright. Alright, I'll just end the stream. Yeah. Yo, bye-bye.